Welcome back to Fun with Fountain Pens.
Here's a house. Here's a door. Windows 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready to knock? Turn the lock.
10 school. Okay, guys, over the last couple of weeks, I decided I was going to end Fun with Fountain Pens as a regular segment with some top fives. I did top 5 everyday carries. I did top 5 Grail pens. Tonight, I am going to do my top 5 character pens. Now, here's the thing with fountain pen enthusiasts. Normally, fountain pen enthusiasts will carry 2 or sometimes 3 fountain pens. There's a number of reasons for this. One is, probably the primary one, is that when you run out of ink, it's nice to have another pen to go to. But another reason is it's quite nice to have an everyday, reliable, everyday carry that you can just use for sort of general purpose. And then it's quite nice to have one that's got some character, that's got some flair, that you can lay down some interesting characters with. So people will often carry in a combination. I do this myself. Typically, my everyday carry is a Lamy 2000. It's reliable. It's always the same. It is a tremendous pen, but it can be a little bit boring. For something that's a little bit more interesting, I also carry a character pen. Now, with character pens, it's more about the nib. It's generally using an interesting nib rather than a standard round, fine, medium, broad type nib. People have, there's a bunch of different nibs out there, and people like different styles of them for different types of writing because they have their own characteristics. And I thought you'd go through, I'd take you through my top 5. My number 5 is the Noodler's Ahab, which actually made it into my top 5 everyday carries. What I like about this pen is it's a flex nib, but it kind of sits in the middle between what is an everyday carry and what is a character pen, because it is flex. You can use it just like a fine sort of a medium, but when you want to, you can lay some pressure and see the tines separating, really lay down some ink and get some of that wonderful line variation when you want to, just by applying that pressure. So it kind of fits into both categories. Because it's a flex nib, I like this. It is my number 5 character pen. My number 4 is a Fude. This is the Jinhao 9035 with a Fude nib from Japan. Now, with this nib, Fude means brush in Japanese, and I've shown you this pen before. What is cool about these, particularly for calligraphy, is you alter the amount of ink flow by adjusting the angle of the pen to page. For thin lines, you have the pen very, very perpendicular to the page. For thick lines, you have it very, very fat to the page. And I probably could demonstrate this with you if I'd bothered to ink up this pen. But you can see with the Fude, it's got this kind of bent nib to achieve that sort of effect. As character goes, very few pens can lay down as much ink as this baby can. And number 3 is a Naginata. This Naginata nib comes to us in a Lamy Safari copy from a no-name Chinese vendor. I'm not too sure. But the thing is, with a Naginata nib, it is really quite similar to a Fude, but less the case. So this pen also works by laying down ink depending upon its angle to the page, but it's a lot more subtle for a Western person who's used to writing in the West. It's a little less commonly writing in calligraphy. It's a lot more subtle. It's a lot more useful for a modern hand. Also, quite like the Noodler's Ahab. If you hold the pen at the same angle to the page, you can just use it like a normal pen. That is my number 3. All right, now I really had to struggle to come up and decide between the next 2. My number 2 is the Noodler's Triple Tail. This is the ultimate flex pen. It is from the same manufacturer as the Noodler's Ahab. However, the effect is enhanced by the fact that rather than having 2 tines, this is a 3-tined music nib. This pen, when you lay down the pressure, lays down an awful lot of ink. This is fantastic for doing things like writing Christmas cards and greeting cards. You can get an awful lot of line variation. Probably the only pen, well, it would be 6 of one, half a dozen of the other between this and the Fude for laying down an awful lot of ink. All right. And the number one pen in my collection that I have as a character pen is also a Jinhao 9035. This one has an architect nib. Now, a stub nib is really, really common. Architects use the opposite type of nib. They have been messing with your head. Believe it or not, you are actually programmed through just having looked at handwriting throughout your life to think of line variation being fat on the downstrokes and thin on the cross strokes. That is how you always have seen line variation. It's how line variation has been written on the page since medieval times. Architects know this and messed with our heads by coming up with an architect nib that does the opposite. Rather than being thick on the downstrokes and thin on the cross strokes, it is fat on the cross strokes and thin on the downstrokes. This is an unusual effect. It is striking because you are not used to seeing it. Architects, if you look at an architectural drawing, their handwriting is almost invariably in block capitals because it amplifies this effect. I like to use it because it's so unusual. It does draw people's attention to whatever I've written. Okay, guys, so this is my top 5 character pens. You are looking at the Noodler's Ahab, a Fude nibbed Jinhao 9035, a no-name Naginata nib, a Noodler's triple tail 3-tine music nib, and the Jinhao 9035 with an architect nib. This has been fun with fountain pens. Guys, I really do hope that you enjoyed that. I'm going to play you a little bit more music. Come back. I've got half an hour left to go in the show. You are watching. Thanks for watching. To consume more of my content or comment upon this clip, tune in to Simon TV Live on Sundays.